The superstars of Fan Control Football Season 2.0 are not only the who's who of celebrity team owners and influencers, not the 21 million live views of our Emmy-nominated broadcast. Across Twitch, DAZN, Fubo, NBCLX, Peacock. Or our highlights that scored over 100 million views. And we can't forget best-in-class sponsors. But the biggest star of Season 2 is our play-calling app that allow fans to control the action on the field. Fans pick a team, pick a play, 4 run plays, 4 pass plays to choose from. The play with the most votes is called in real time.
We got it.
This is where video games and live action come to life. And now, Fan Control Sports and Entertainment brings you Fan Controlled Hoops, where fans call the shots. Coming 2023, the future of sports is here, and it's Fan Control. Power to the fans.
Are you ready for it?
This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
Don't cause a ruckus. We talking that talk and spitting them facts. We setting them traps and cracking them backs. We got all the news. We know all the stories. We start from the bottom, rise up to the glory. We say what your local reporters can't say. We break down the X's and O's on the play. Replace AJ, King, Con, and Jose. Ruckus. We call it right on the first take and they love us. Yeah, we the best when it comes to sports debate. Find the podcast and let it play. If we get you in your feelings, that's okay. AJ and Jose send you on your way like, bruh, don't cause a ruckus. We just call it how we see it, big bro. And that we will always.
What's up, Internet? Welcome to Don't Cause a Ruckus, the sports debate show that tries not to take itself too seriously. I am your host, Jose Ruckus, and joining me, as always, is my longtime rival and good friend, AJ Khah. What's up, AJ?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I mean, I was just getting ready for the show, getting the doc, everything ready to go, and some huge news just dropped right before we went live. So we're going to be adding some topics to the list.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, man. I mean, so it's Super Bowl week, man. That's what everybody's excited about right now, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on too. But I think that's where we need to start, right? Because the biggest topic of the week, Super Bowl week, just a couple days away from the biggest football game of the year. AJ, so we got the Chiefs and the Eagles. What do you think? What do you think's going down in this game? Who do you think's coming out victorious? I want to know picks for Super Bowl MVP ahead of time. What do you think the game's going to look like?
All right. It's going to be a wild one. And I do think the Chiefs are going to pull it through. I think the Eagles had an amazing season, but I talked about this yesterday. I feel like their schedule, as far as difficulty, was very much easier than what Kansas City had to go through. And I think we saw that in the playoffs, that even a battered Kansas City can still get to the Super Bowl while Philadelphia kind of glides their way in. I think this is going to be a real test for Philadelphia. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to pull it off. And I'm going to say it's going to be a funny one, just because I'm going to say Pacheco is going to be the MVP of the game.
You think Pacheco is going to get Super Bowl MVP?
I think he's going to get Super Bowl MVP.
I'll tell you
Rookie Super Bowl MVP, man.
I'm going with the Eagles. I think the Eagles are a more sound all-around team. They're actually extremely good defensively, even though I think they've kind of been slept on as a defense. Their pass rush numbers are insane. They're also they're doing some really intricate things on offense that I think are going to be hard for the Chiefs to stop. I don't know if you've paid attention to this so much, but this year the Eagles have really been doing things like testing the bounds of what's possible with 4th and short. They've been running more quarterback sneaks than basically any team ever has in the modern age. And they're doing it in some interesting ways. They're pushing Jalen Hurts past the goal line in a lot. And they're literally innovating football right now as we're watching, to a point where there's talks about rule changes potentially happening. I think that this team is really, really good. And I just think they're built around all just better than the Chiefs are. The Chiefs are like, as far as like wide receivers go, they're really lacking. I mean, obviously Travis Kelce is the real number one receiver there. But I think that the Eagles defense is going to be able to check off some of these guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, like MVS. I think the Eagles are just the all around better team right now. They the Chiefs have a better quarterback for sure, but the Eagles have the better offensive line. I think they have the better defense. I think they've got the better receiving core. I think that they're a much better put together team. It's the quarterback positions really, and I mean a single tight end is really the only place where the Chiefs are better than the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean that's a good argument. Not gonna lie, but I don't know. There's just something magical about the Kansas City Chiefs, man. I think Andy Reid is gonna. Now, this is a good question. Do you think if they win it, do you think Andy Reid should retire? Or do you think he's just going to keep going?
Because there's no reason for him to. He's in the He's in the middle of like the most dominant period of his career. There's no reason to step aside now. He's doing amazing right now.
Exactly.
Like just going to AFC Championship after AFC Champion, Super Bowl after Super Bowl. Like no way. So let's see. I pulled up some of the odds, some of the lines going into this game. Right now, it says that Philadelphia are slightly favored, -1.5. The over-under for the game right now is 51 points. What do you think about that, AJ? You think this is going to be a high-scoring game, or do you think it's going to go under?
You know what? I think I'm going to take the over on that one.
I'm feeling the over, too. I really do hope that this is a game that like is really... Like, these are both really good offenses, and the offensive coordination on these teams is extremely high. So I do want to see a high scoring game here. I would take the over. But yeah, this is a really close spread. Most of the money seems to be coming in on the Eagles. Yeah, this is interesting. Now, so you're going with Pacheco for MVP.
Yeah, just because of chaos. This season has been chaos. Let's just add to it at the end. Why not?
Well, let's see. On the Eagles side, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, who would get? Because like Jalen Hurts is.
It's got to be Jalen Hurts. Right? Yeah,
the quarterback like always wins. But
you got to think chaos.
I like the chaos. I'm gonna go with AJ Brown. I this guy's gonna have like a 3 touchdown game. He's gonna like break all the receiving records, all that stuff. I think it's going to be really, really interesting, this game. I do think that they haven't exactly had a great run game this season. Not that their run game's been bad or anything, but like, who's the Eagles running? Miles Sanders and Boston Scott, I think. Like, it's not like
they don't have a great running game.
They don't. It's Jalen Hurts is almost the running back.
He's exclusively their running back for this team.
So yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts is the safe pick, but like, and Kenneth Gainwell is also on the team, as the running back. And I love Kenneth Gainwell. You know why? Because it's one of the best running back names of all time. He gains well. It's great. It's genius. His name is Kenneth Gainwell, and he gains yards well.
There's so much wrong with that joke. Like, I feel like you have to exclusively be a father to be able to pull that joke off, and you're not. So the execution done well. It's just, it lacks the punch because you're not a dad.
I got the mustache though. I dress.
You
like
have
a
the
dad.
mustache. You do dress like a father. So like,
I wear dad shoes almost every day. I love big chunky Air Maxes. I'm a dad out. I'm a
dad. I'm a dad at heart with no children.
I mean, I'm like a 60-year-old man at heart, to be honest with you. I feel like an old man like every day.
Oh man, see, I want to say I feel the same way, but like I feel like I'm even further into my old man age where I'm like I'm still 20. Like I can still pro wrestle, gets shoulder surgery for the first time in his life. Yeah, totally. I could still go snowboarding, hurts his knee for the rest of the year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great mentality there.
I'm the complete opposite. I'm still in my 20s, but I'm like, you know what sounds really nice? I'm gonna sit at home and I'm gonna drink some tea and read a book. I'm gonna watch old French films on the Criterion Channel. I'm an old man, all right.
I think you have the better mentality. But let's just go the more safe mentality. You'll probably live a lot longer
safer.
than me. Yeah.
But like to stay on the topic of Super Bowls, but without discussing this current Super Bowl, AJ, I want to know what are some of like your favorite Super Bowls throughout the history of the sport? Because for me, I think the one that I remember the best, I think was the most entertaining to watch, was New England versus Philadelphia that we had a couple years ago. I think it was part of it that was so interesting was that the story of Nick Foles coming in as a backup, being a really good quarterback in the playoffs, despite, being the backup quarterback. And then just like going into the Super Bowl and beating Tom Brady, the GOAT, this backup quarterback, just dueling it out with Tom Brady, the Philly special, Nick Foles catching a touchdown, winning the Super Bowl MVP, like, and beating New England, who I hate. So like that, for me, that's like the most memorable, exciting Super Bowl of all time.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with an old one. All right. And this is going to really show my age, but there was like, I think it was the Rams Titans back in the day. Kurt Warner was playing. Man, I'm an old man. It's just this is all it is making me do is realize how old I am. But like, that was a great game. And like, I had to have been like 8 or 9. It was one of the first Super Bowls I remember or something. But dude, when the Rams won, I got so excited. I was so happy. And I just remember that like, it was one of those situations where like, I was a kid, I was going based off of logos, but then like, I started like, that's when I started getting into like football. So for me, it was like that one.
I feel like I remember the Rams winning, but I don't remember the game.
So it was 23 years ago. So it was in the 2000s. I was like 10. I was 10.
Okay. Yeah.
So it makes sense that I barely remember it, but I really got into football after that. And then like, yeah, it was like Mike Vick era afterwards. So,
I remember the Rams winning. I remember like the Kurt Warner thing. I remember all that stuff. I don't think I remember watching a Super Bowl until the Raiders Buccaneers Super Bowl. Right. I think that's the first one I remember watching. Freddie Airmail in the chat. What about the Pats Seahawks one? I feel like that was actually that was a really good game and really exciting. And I can't watch it. I can't enjoy it. So it's just not fair to me. But I bet for other people, that's a really exciting Super Bowl that they all remember. I mean, I do love the Seahawks beating the hell out of the Broncos. That was fun to watch, but it's like I acknowledge that was not an enjoyable game for most people. I loved it though.
Well, yeah, but like that's one of the few times where you can be like, I really enjoyed it, because like it's one of the few times your team like won the Super Bowl and did it in a trouncing fashion.
I feel like lately we've had more stinkers than really good Super Bowls lately.
That's true. 100%.
Like, I mean, there was the New England and Los Angeles Super Bowl a couple of years ago. That's one of the worst Super Bowls I've ever seen. Like, honestly, probably the worst Super Bowl I ever saw. But yeah, Seahawks broke the record for fastest score with the safety that went by Peyton Manning's face. Amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really hope this Super Bowl is better. Like last year's with the Bengals and the Rams, just wasn't that good.
It has to be. Honestly, it really I'm really expecting it to be a really good Super Bowl, just because I feel like it's going to be a very offensive, very heavily offensive game. And we got Freddie Airmail in the chat saying that they talked about in the Freddie Stat Go podcast that they are predicting it to be way over 50. So, hey, if we got the two biggest statisticians, I was going to say two biggest stat heads.
Way over 50. I think that
I think it's a conservative over 50. Like, let's,
I would say that it ends just barely breaks 50 because both of these defenses I think are actually really good and don't get enough credit for how good their defenses are. But I do think it's still going to be a high scoring game. I just don't think it's going to be like blowout. Both teams are going to score like 40 points or anything like that. Yeah, okay. Freddie's not saying way, or just Kyle. Kyle's an optimist, you know.
He also loves chaos, so you got to keep that in mind.
But it's also neat because this is one of the few Super Bowls where it's like I like both of these teams.
Yeah, same.
I like both of these. I don't really care who wins. I can go either way. I love Patrick Mahomes. I'd love to see him get another Super Bowl.
Same.
I like the Eagles, and the Philadelphia is going to be fun. You know, whether they win or lose, they're going to burn their city down. It's going to be awesome.
So I feel like I inherently lean towards Kansas City for two reasons. One, my best friend loves Priest Holmes, and the Kansas City Chiefs are his like number one team. So I kind of lean towards them. Number two, not a big Philadelphia fan, though. But now I do have to ask you this question. Now that Tom Brady's officially out of the league needs a new villain. And my question to you now is that Patrick Mahomes? Is he the new villain? Is it purely based off of like Mahomes is a good guy. Like I like him. I'm a big fan. But is it purely because of his wife and his brother doing TikTok dance?
I feel like I haven't heard too much about them this season. But
I've heard enough.
Perhaps Patrick Mahomes might be becoming the new. I do know that people are turning on Patrick Mahomes. I do, you see it all the time where people are like, oh, the NFL's got to get their golden boy in the Super Bowls. They're fixing the games for Mahomes, so Mahomes can win more Super Bowls, all that stuff. And so people are starting to turn on him. But honestly, for me, it's not the same. It's like, for me, it's not just that Tom Brady kept going back. He kept winning all the time. And it was that he did it while also being extremely boring. Like, he wasn't a fun football player to watch.
Oh yeah,
Mahomes is amazing. Every time I watch the guy play football, I'm blown away by something that he does. So for me, I'm never gonna root against Mahomes. It's because the guy's one of the most entertaining football players.
It's very hard to root against him.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of guys, is getting hard to root against right now. AJ, LeBron James
just had to use that transition.
LeBron James just broke the all-time scoring record last night. He is now scored the most points in the history of the NBA throughout his career. AJ, is it time to admit that LeBron James is the GOAT?
No, it's not.
It's not?
It's not. It's not. And I'll tell you why. Because that record is going to get broken quicker than LeBron broke it. I'm just saying that right now. The game of basketball has changed completely over the past few years. Steph Curry has changed the game of basketball because you never saw people shooting as much from the three-point arc and beyond as you see in the league currently. People are going to break that record, and it's not just once. It's going to be the next time and then the next time. This is something that you're going to see like Trae Young break it there's one kid that I was reading today that if he continues at the rate he's doing, he's a rookie, he will break not only LeBron's record, but he'll break it by like a couple thousand points. So to me, like LeBron is going to bring this record up a lot. He has clearly a lot left in the tank. So right now he's just going for broke to see how high he can make that high score. But I genuinely believe
he's going to break 40,000 points in his career. I do believe that. I think he's going to finish with over 40,000 points. I don't think that there's going to be a player who is a dominant scorer who plays as long as LeBron does anytime soon. Like, I mean, you named off the guys who are these high volume shooters and stuff, and it's guys like Trae Young, it's guys like Steph Curry. Steph Curry has been battling injuries his entire career. They're not built the way LeBron is. LeBron is this, he's one of the most like physically fit people in the world. He's bigger than everybody else. He's stronger than everybody else. He's able to score in almost any way possible. Like, I don't think anybody is going to be able to play long enough to catch up to this anytime soon. Like, it's going to have to take like Giannis to just like dominate for like 20 years.
Thank you, Freddie in the chat. Exactly who I was talking about. Cam Thomas. I forgot who I was talking about, but Cam Thomas has an opportunity to do that. Yeah. It's kind of nuts. Trae Young hit 80,000 career points, and he's the second I think he's the youngest, or like the second youngest to do it. The only other person to do it at this age, LeBron James. So it's like little things like that that make me realize that, like, yeah, you're right. LeBron James is honestly, having watched his entire career, he's probably the most physically fit and physically dominant player in, and I'm going to say this, and it's a wild thing to say, but in the greater majority of any professional sports leagues. Like, I'll take him over a lot of NFL players. I will take him over a lot of like professional soccer players. He is a machine. He has not been injured very much through his career. If anything, you barely see him miss like a good chunk of a season. It's only been like, I think like last season or the season before that he did take a big chunk out of his career. But genuinely, this man is the Terminator. Like, he just gets through things. Like, he could like roll his ankle and then it just reforms into a solid and he keeps going. It's nuts, and it's hard to root against. But I genuinely believe that the game of basketball has changed up that much so recently and late into LeBron's career. I think Bronny himself, if he has 80% of his father's talent level, but he's shooting like Steph Curry and Trae Young, he may beat his dad's record.
You've never seen anything like what LeBron's doing right now, which is a guy, he's almost 40 years old, and he's still averaging something like 25 points a game. Like, I mean, we're talking about the dude who, he is the fourth highest averaging scorer per game in the history of the NBA, and he's been doing that now for like 2 decades. I don't see any other player doing that anytime soon.
Well, but this is the issue. He has a black stain on his record preventing him from getting the title of GOAT, and that is ring chaser. This man left to go chase for rings. If he had stayed in Cleveland, I think hands down he would be considered, and he won as many rings as he has in his career. I think hands down people would say he's the GOAT in comparison to Michael Jordan. The difference between the two is Michael stayed. And I know this is a similar story as to why I think the whole like total career points thing is going to be an award that goes to someone else. It's because the landscape of the NBA changed. Back in the 90s, 80s, when Jordan reigned supreme, it was a thing where like you didn't go and chase rings. Like, if you did, it was because you were a role player going to another star's team to help him out. It wasn't the main guys leaving. If it was few and far between, and it was done in a trade. It wasn't during like the free agency. Now players have more power.
LeBron played 7 years in Cleveland, okay? Doing everything that he can, literally dragging a team of nobodies to the finals by himself. By the time LeBron left Cleveland to go to Miami to be on a better organization, in Michael Jordan's career, he already had Scottie Pippen. He already won championships. Like, this, LeBron would have stayed there if the organization was worth anything, if the organization was willing to build something around him. They just weren't. That's not LeBron's fault.
I mean, I just think that that's a black. That's like why a lot of people refuse to admit that he's like, quote unquote, the GOAT. I mean, I think it's a big reason why I really don't think that he's the GOAT. Genuinely, I think it's a negative stereotype that follows a lot of players from our era and like the recent era, is that they're ring chasers. Steph Curry is going to be one of the few that isn't going to get that. But Kevin Durant, labeled a snake, he got it just because he went to Golden State to win a ring after they lost to Oklahoma City, lost to them the previous year in the playoffs. So it's the tale of two stories, like Steph Curry, the hero, Kevin Durant, the snake, same team, two different, storylines.
I don't know. I don't personally, for me, that has nothing to do with it. I think LeBron plays basketball better than everybody else. He's the best he's the best to do everything. He can play any position. He can do anything on the court. He's 40 years old. Go look at how Michael Jordan played the game when he was LeBron's age. When he was he would not go to the rim. Not go to the rim. LeBron is still out there dunking on people, okay? You go look at any other player, like maybe Wilt Chamberlain is like the only comparison to what you see LeBron James do these days. For my LeBron's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
I mean,
He has the scoring record. He still won a championship in Cleveland. Gave them their first championship. Took a cursed city, a cursed franchise, won them their first championship.
Okay, he won them their first championship, but he also had to have like his team to do it. Like it wasn't
his
like
team. It was 1.5 superstars there.
Okay, 1.5 superstars.
Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love.
Kevin Love.
Those were the co-stars.
Yes, but Kevin Love is, in my opinion,
J.R. Smith.
Yeah, it's true. But in my opinion, Kevin Love is the equivalent. Was the modern day equivalent at the time of Chris Bosh. Like, if you really look at it,
not at the time.
Yes, Kevin Love was a superstar on the Timberwolves when he got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was considered like this Timberwolves' best player. He was putting up like 30, 40 points a game. He was like all surrounded by them. And then he goes to Cleveland where he takes a second fiddle to LeBron. And the man is still there. He never left. And he's doing well over there. And he's just the veteran on the end of the bench being like, all right, kids, this is how you shoot a three. Like, you got to get Kevin Love doesn't get enough respect. I'm going to say that right now.
He's a good player, role player. That's what he is. He's a role player. He's a high-level role player.
But that's what LeBron, see, this is my issue. That's what LeBron turned him into. Before LeBron, the man was an all-star and like a perennial all-star, mind you, and an all-star in his own right.
But you look at what LeBron won that championship with, and you compare it to what Michael Jordan was working with, and it's not even close.
Okay, besides Scottie Pippen, and
multiple
then later
Hall
on,
of Famers,
and then later on, like Dennis Rodman.
He had Horace Grant for the first three-peat.
That's true. I forgot. Yeah, he did have like Steve Kerr, but like
he never won a championship without two other
other.
Hall of Famers on his team.
That can't be true.
Horace Grant and Dennis Rodman
And Scottie
Pippen on all 6
on all
rings.
of them, yeah.
He
Scottie was on all of
needs
them.
2 other Hall of Famers to win a championship.
I don't know. I don't think that's right. There has. Let me look this up. That's
Go look him up.
I'm gonna
go
look it up.
If anything, he probably has more Hall of Famers on some of these teams.
all right. I still don't think LeBron's a good.
You think of Kobe? You think of the Lakers? I don't.
I mean,
I'm not a Kobe fan. I think Kobe a bit overrated. When I think Lakers, I think Magic and Kareem. That's who I think the great Lakers are.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's the thing that makes me angry about the Lakers is that they've had too many good teams. Like, I feel like there's enough players.
Oh yeah, I hate the Lakers.
Like across the league that some other teams need some wins, you know? Like that's kind of why I'm a little upset with LeBron too. Like of all teams to end up at, the Lakers, come on. Really? I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm just gonna say it out loud. I'm trying to move to LA and I'm gonna hate being out there because I'm just gonna see a bunch of Lakers fans everywhere I go. No, 100%. I've already told my fiance it's like we're Clippers fans, just to piss people off.
It's a bad time to be a Clippers fan, but I mean, their 2 best players don't play.
Yeah. See, that's another story, but that's another story for another time.
Freddie, did the Hall of Famers elevate MJ or did he elevate them? We saw what those Bulls team were before they got Scottie Pippen. They were getting bounced by the Celtics every year. They were getting bounced by the Pistons every year. He needed other players to be able to make it over the hump and get to the finals, let alone win a finals.
Just saying.
LeBron dragged a team of nobodies to the finals in Cleveland his first time. Can you name a player on that first team besides LeBron James who was on those Cavs? Can you name a player?
Wait, the first time? Wasn't Delonte West on that team?
I do. That's a great poll. Oh my God.
Yeah. Boom.
That's a great poll.
You weren't expecting me to have that name on the
No,
top
I
of my head,
was
were you?
not. You just have the name of some just random nobody.
Dude, basketball is my sport, man. You want to test me on basketball? I got names for you.
Okay, so one thing that we should talk about before moving on to the next topic is right before the show went live, there's a trade just went down today, but a three-way trade between the Lakers, the Jazz, and the Timberwolves. Russell Westbrook no longer a Laker. The Lakers are getting D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley and who else? Jared Vanderbilt. This is a good trade for the Lakers. It cost them, they had to send a pick with a partially protected first round pick with Russell Westbrook to be able to get him off the team. That's embarrassing. But
Yeah.
I mean, I like D'Angelo Russell. I think Malik Beasley's pretty good. Is this enough to like get them back into maybe the playoff conversation? Maybe get through the playoff play-in tournament?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think there are more glaring issues in the Lakers. I really don't think that this trade really fills any gaps that they had. I think that they're just on a general misconnect between the teammates.
It's shooters. They got shooters, which is like right now that's the formula for LeBron to be good is shooters. But it
opens up the lane for him to attack. But like
it's too late.
Yeah,
it's just they should have done this at the beginning of the season. They should have never traded for Russell Westbrook in the first place. I do think that maybe they can sneak into the play-in tournament if Anthony Davis stays healthy for the rest of the year, and that doesn't seem likely.
Okay, now how much? This is a question that I want to ask. How much did you think that them getting Russell Westbrook was them just trying to get Carmelo there too for one season and have the banana boat crew out there going?
I think I think LeBron genuinely thought that Russell Westbrook still had it.
Okay.
I think he genuinely thought Russell Westbrook was still a good basketball player, and he's not. Okay. Next topic here there was another trade this week that happened a bit earlier. Kyrie is now with the Mavericks. Is this what Luka needs to be able to take this team to the next level? Was this a good trade, or did the Mavs get bamboozled?
I'm not going to say the Mavs got bamboozled. I'm going to say this. I'm excited for this trade purely because it gives Luka another player to play besides. I'm tired of there's always going to be the narrative of Luka and Trae Young. It's going to follow them for the rest of their lives. And the narrative has been Trae Young has a better team than Luka, but Luka does more. Now I feel like Luka has a star player to play beside him. Not only a star, but I argue probably the best quote unquote co-star in the NBA right now in Kyrie Irving. This man has won rings alongside LeBron, has done a lot. He's got some experience. Now, having said that, it's kind of a trade-off because this man is also a cancer in the locker room. I kind of coined this term yesterday. He's the CM Punk of the NBA as far as locker rooms go. Okay. He doesn't get over well with the people, and his views on the flat earthers are
he's got a lot of views.
It's not desirable. It's great. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's it's a flip of the coin.
I personally don't think that this is for what they traded, I think it's fine. I don't think they got like hosed or anything in the trade, but I don't think that Kyrie Irving is what's going to take this team to the next level.
Oh, no, not at all.
I don't think either of these players are very good off the ball. I think they both need the ball in their hands to be really great. And so just having two players who do that, it feels like more that the Mavericks are hitting the panic button after trading away Brunson or losing Brunson rather in the offseason to the Knicks. They pretty much just let him walk. And I don't know why. He's pretty good and he's been doing great on the Knicks. And now the Mavs have taken a big step back. And I think that they're panicking over that situation. So they went and got a new point guard who's able to put up points the way Brunson is, but it's just not gonna. They don't do it in the same way. These aren't two players I can imagine working well together without one of them drastically changing up the way that they play ball.
100%.
Yeah. Maybe this'll. I mean, they're still both really good. Maybe this ends up being, a Western Conference Finals contender, but I just don't think it's a big improvement.
I
But
genuinely
yeah, like, does Kyrie just like wreck? Like, do you lose Luka Doncic? Because every single team that Kyrie Irving has played for, he has absolutely destroyed the franchise in his wake. Just like everything went bad in Boston after he left. They eventually got back together, but Cleveland mess, Boston mess, Brooklyn mess. I imagine this ends in Dallas as a big mess.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Honestly, I don't think that this is going to change anything. I think the biggest question though is, like you said, can they get along? Can they work together? And I don't see it happening. I feel like it's going to be a clash. Like I feel like Luka's going to be too jokey. He's not going to work hard in the offseason. Kyrie's going to be too serious. It's going to be the opposite of what Shaq and Kobe was, you know?
Okay.
So
I can see it. So there's some other big news that happened a couple days ago. This situation with Manchester City. There appears to be some.
we got a raid just now. That's sick. Thank you,
Did we?
Chris Brown. Or no, the closeout. I'm
closeout.
sorry. With the raid of 6.
Oh man, we appreciate the raid. Thank you so much for stopping by. Yeah. Don't cause a ruckus.
Don't cause them. Hey, we talk about sports and stuff. We're currently talking about sports.
Yeah. So Manchester City, they're being investigated right now with these allegations that they are like doing all kinds of weird financial shenanigans, paying players with more money than they're supposed to. It's a huge mess, very complicated, but there's some potentially devastating punishments that could be their way if they're found like guilty of all these things. I've heard like huge points penalties on the table, potentially having them removed from the Premier League. Like there's
Relegated. Yep.
Yeah, there's like potentially huge consequences for this. What do you think about this entire situation with Manchester City, who they're in second place in the Premier League. They're only 5 points behind Arsenal right now.
I mean, I'm going to be real and I'm going to be honest. From everything that I've researched about it, I feel like they deserve what they're getting. FIFA, I'm going to say this first and foremost. We've known it for a long time. It's a corrupt organization. And, they've looked the other way a couple times when they were paid to. And it hopefully over the last few years, it's gotten better with the new leadership involved. So I'm taking this as a good step forward, but they've been looking to investigate Manchester since 2018.
It's come through different ways, right? Because there was a potential them getting banned from UEFA. There was like possibly them getting sanctioned from the Champions League. This is just the first time it's happened in the Premier League. Like they've been accused of financial shenanigans by like multiple leagues at this point.
But that's exactly what I was trying to say. It's just like this isn't something new. This has been around since 2018. So it's one of those questions like, once the Premier League got involved with it, now it's just like, all right, something's got to give. Everybody's been investigating these guys for the last 5 years. It's only a matter of time, and I'm kind of happy that it's happening because like I hate it when there's rules. Like a money cap situation and teams go out of their way to be like, yeah, we don't need it. Especially in like something like these leagues across like there's not as much, because it's multiple leagues with the relegation and delegations and all of that changing. It really relies on the teams to kind of like honor that. But, not only that, when the leagues come to check in on you, don't just ignore it. And it seems like that's kind of what they did. They're like, yeah, well, it's like a bill, you don't have to pay it on time. And then you get these warnings, right? It's just before the eviction that you really need to pay. That's kind of their mentality that they have.
Yeah, this thing's a huge mess. And I'm like really interested in seeing how this all plays out because this could be like a devastating blow to one of the big 6 franchises in European soccer. Like absolutely insane. And they have like some of the best players. They have the best coach in the world right now, Pep Guardiola. They have like, I think the best player in the world, maybe with Erling Haaland. So this is just going to be really, really interesting to see what goes down.
You know why they have that? Because they spend that money and they
Exactly.
shouldn't have. That's why.
Okay, so I've got a new segment here that we're going to debut this week. This potentially might be a recurring segment, but it's one that I call Jose Ruckus intentionally tries to make AJ Khah mad.
Yeah, we talked about this one last week a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so over the last couple weeks, I've been listening to a lot of My Chemical Romance, okay? I've been listening to all 4 of the albums, been going through it a lot. I genuinely believe this, AJ. Danger Days, True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys is a much better album than The Black Parade. Obviously, The Black Parade is the album that blew My Chemical Romance up into superstars. It's their most iconic album. It's a great album, don't get me wrong. But I think almost in every way, Danger Days is a much bigger accomplishment for the band. Now, if you only feel like viewing the album as a collection of songs, then, you know, your opinion's going to be whatever. Do you like The Black Parade more? That's fine. I think that when you view it as one, they're both concept albums, right? They're both times the bands are trying to do something bigger. I think that Danger Days is a much more unique and ambitious story than The Black Parade, which is a story that's been told a million times. Just a guy going through all these different parts of dying and going to the afterlife and stuff. Nothing new. Where Danger Days is this weird, super dense fiction that has its own comic book and its own interesting story with Grant Morrison going on in it. One thing I think that's the big reason I think that this album is so much better is that The Black Parade is good in part because it is My Chemical Romance finally perfecting the sound that they had been working on for 2 albums before that. They were working with this goth, punk, emo, kind of sound, and they just nailed it on The Black Parade. It took them 3 albums, but they finally got there. Danger Days is them doing something entirely different, entirely new, and they absolutely nailed it the first time. It sounds great. It's really interesting. It's doing a bunch of stuff that they never did before, and it's awesome. It just kicks ass as an album.
Okay. See, you bring up a lot of great points. You're not wrong. I love the fact that I love a good band that can make a comic book, especially with a comic book legend like Grant Morrison. I love the fact that both of them are concept albums. Don't get me wrong. Like, Danger Days is a great album, but it's not a better album than Black Parade. And besides the obvious of what you just said, they took 3 years to perfect the sound to get the perfect album where, like you said, Danger Days, they just switched it up, but they needed to still perfect it a little bit. Just a little bit.
No, they nailed it.
Because it was too neon pop for me. They had a generation of goth headbangers and emo kids, and they're just like, you know what? Neon. And it was a little too abrupt for the gung-ho.
There were like 6 years in between albums. That's hardly abrupt.
Okay, 6 years between albums is like you got to ease them into the concept. You just killed the main guy. Everybody's been obsessed with the Black Parade. People to a point where fans wanted it to be a Broadway play. Like, legitimately, it was that much loved. Didn't happen, but hey, it would have been cool. Not only that, if you take it as a whole, the Black Parade is just a better album. It's had more hits. More people, literally, it is now a meme on TikTok. You can know with maybe just one note what song is playing. It's recognizable. It's world loved. And every piano player has to learn how to play Welcome to the Black Parade's intro. And if you don't, that's just sad because people are going to ask you, especially if you have like an emo friend. They're going to be like, hey, come here. Dude, I can play it on the melodica, all right? And that is annoying.
What does this have to do with it being a better album?
It's that world-renowned and well-known.
Yeah, that doesn't make it the best.
it makes it better.
No, it does not. Danger Days is such a more interesting album musically. Like, just a couple other things. For first off, the Black Parade, the mix on that album sounds like shit. I was just listening to it. Like, one, I get that Mikey Way is not like the best bass player in the world, but you should at least be able to hear him occasionally. The Black Parade sort of treats like the multiple guitars as like a challenge that it needs to overcome, whereas Danger Days is like interesting, two guitars playing at the same time, working off of each other instead of just playing the same thing over and over again. All the songs on the Black Parade are sort of like sitting in like the same kind of sound. They're all kind of doing the same thing, whereas Danger Days is trying all different kinds of stuff. It's got drum loops, it's got real drums, it mixes the two at the same time.
Do you know who the producer with the two albums were?
Rob Cavallo, I think, was on.
He was both. So he
Both.
produced both albums. So it's
Yeah.
like saying that it's not a well-produced album and then
No,
the next
mixed.
one is better.
It's not one's mixed poorly. And Rob Cavallo doesn't always nail the mix. Some like the later Green Day albums that he did, some of those suck.
Yeah, that's I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that statement. I don't know, man. I guess at the end of the day, you have to me, it goes.
The music videos for Danger Days are so much better. All the music videos in that album rule. They're so dope. Everything in the Black Parade is just like bullshit. They're dressed up like Sgt. Pepper's, but black. Wow, what an interesting idea. What a unique, interesting thing to do.
You know, I'm really honestly surprised that you say that the music videos for the Danger Days is better than Black Parade. As a cinematographer, personally, I think the Black Parade music videos are way better. And I guess that's more just because I've seen the props in Danger Days is just old school Nintendo, like
That's awesome.
shoot 'em up like
And all
controllers.
those guns are like interesting, designed for the character that they're with. It's such a dope. There's so much cool, interesting shit in that album. It's a better album.
It's just because the reason why I say that is because it upsets me, because that's like, as much as everyone wants to say that that's their fourth album, because technically it is, in the grand scheme of it, that's really their third album, because their first one was an EP that wasn't really well known or produced, and then you have what is it? The one with Helena on it.
Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge.
There you go. And then Black Parade and then Danger Days. So a lot of fans don't really remember I Brought You Bullets, You Brought Me
I Brought
Your
You
Love.
Bullets is dope. It's got one of my favorite My Chemical Romance
But it's
songs.
like an EP, arguably. So like as far as LPs go, it's their third LP. And every band in the emo scene decided, oh, it's our third album. Let's just go nuts. Literally, except for Panic at the Disco, they did it with their second album. But everyone's like, our experimental album is going to be our third album. And then this is what we get.
You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. You got to try new
You
things.
can't. You're
Trying
right.
new
you
things
can't.
is interesting as an artist.
But look at what Fall Out Boy did. They tried to do new things, and the last two albums were not good.
And My Chemical Romance tried something new, and it was awesome. It's the best thing that they ever did.
But their new music sounds like their old stuff, though.
It's one song.
That's true, but
It's
still,
a single track.
It's one single track, but it sounds like it's old stuff.
I listened to both albums probably like 5 times over the last week, and I think Danger Days is just way better.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe I need to give it another chance, but like I just can't listen to Danger Days. Like I listened to it once, couldn't listen to it again. I didn't enjoy it.
You only listened to it once?
Yeah. Just because like that na 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 na. If they're just saying nah, that's not good. Like,
What does that have to do with it being good?
you're a better songwriter than that, Gerard Way. If you're gonna do just that, record it, maybe put some effects on it, add it, make it like a trigger or a loop or something. Come on, don't just have people singing like nasally through a mic. There's so much more they could have done.
Disagree. Absolutely disagree.
Well,
All right, AJ, let's close this off with some off the top 3. This is this segment where AJ and I build top 3 lists off the top of our head. Neither of us knows the topic that we're going to get. I prepared a topic for AJ. AJ has prepared a topic for me, and I believe it's my turn to go first. AJ, what do you got for me?
Okay. Now, I wanted to...
Ruthless Cutie, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge is her favorite album. I think that's also better than Danger Days. I mean, I think that's better than Black Parade. I think Black Parade's their third best album.
Oh, you're entirely wrong. It goes... I can see 3 Cheers being number 1, but that's just because they were a young band. They did well for their first one. It's really Black Parade, 3 Cheers, and then Danger Days. Danger Days is dead last, man. You got to accept it. It's okay to be wrong.
No.
All right, so I didn't prepare at all, but I'm gonna do this. If you had to pick 3 Pokemon to start a band with, what 3 Pokemon would you start your band with?
Oh, this is difficult. I'm not a big Pokemon guy. I've only played like the first couple generations, but okay, I'm gonna go with Geodude. That dude he looks like a drummer to me. I don't know why.
Fair.
I'm gonna go with let's see, Muck.
Okay.
No, Snorlax. Snorlax is more I just wanted like a big guy. I want a big guy in the band.
Do what?
So
What's he gonna play?
I had some bass, but he could also be a big guitar player too. I just want one big guy in the band.
Okay, every good band needs a big guy.
And last, I'm gonna go with Mr. Mime because I bet that guy's into some weird shit, and it would sound really weird. It'd be like a Flaming Lips album or something.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go with AJ. Give me your 3 favorite bass players of all time.
All right. So we got to do Lemmy Killjoy.
Nice.
Oh man. Oh, I'm blanking so hard. Oh, Brian Deacon. There it is.
Okay.
From Queen. And then John Deacon. Sorry, not Brian Deacon. I was thinking Brian May. John Deacon. Sorry. So Lemmy, John Deacon, and then I could be such a poser right now and be like Pete Wentz, but
that'd be bad.
No. See, that's the thing that sucks about being a pop punk bassist. Like, there's not really good, like, good basses out there.
Mike Dirnt's really good.
Mike Dirnt is good, but I'm gonna go with Skylar Accord. He's the bassist of Issues, and now the bassist of 21 Pilots.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he's a homie of mine. Hung out on Warped Tour a lot with him. He's one of the best bass players I've ever met, and not gonna lie, I asked him to teach me some things and took some lessons with him because he was that good. So, and this was like after I'd already recorded several albums and stuff. So the dude
Not
is
a
talented.
Jaco Pastorius guy? No.
Mike Dirnt is a good one. You know, I think he's one of the best. Flea's good, but I don't consider him pop punk. You can go with Ryan Scott Graham from State Champs. He's really good. But yeah, I'd be like John Deacon. Definitely is like, I think he just comes up with the most memorable, catchy bass lines.
He's also a really good songwriter.
Yeah, great song.
He wrote Best Friend. Song's banger. Yeah, that guy's a really good. That Queen's rhythm section is just out of this world.
Oh, completely.
Roger Taylor's a monster on the kit.
Queen, honestly, is one of my favorite bands that I never got to see live, and I wish I could go. If I had a time machine, that's one thing I would do is like go see them and like Hendrix and a young Santana. Give me a young Carlos.
Do you think Santana today doesn't rip as hard as he used to? Like he was like, I would still go see Santana today.
I would go see Santana today, but I genuinely, and like I'm probably gonna get a phone call from like Makuga after this story, but like to me, there's nothing like prime young Santana where he's like on drugs. Let's just say it like that. And he's imagining that the neck of his guitar is a snake and he has to play better or as best as he can to prevent the snake from biting and killing him. That's the type of Santana that I want to see live, is having him go through that mentality and be like, I have to battle this mythical creature to keep myself alive.
But you don't get to see him play Smooth, which is his best song.
Yeah, you mean Emmy nominated Smooth by Carlos Santana and
Rob Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Song rules. You won't be able
It's a
to
great
hear him
song.
play that.
No, I wouldn't, but I would also not hear people refer to it as the Grammy nominated song by Santana and Rob Thomas called Smooth.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for this week's Don't Cause a Ruckus. If you didn't know, Don't Cause a Ruckus goes live on twitch.tv/fan-controlled-sports every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific. It goes live the next day over on YouTube and all the podcast services. Just look up the fan-controlled feed. AJ, you've been doing a lot of Twitch streaming lately.
I have. You've also been doing a lot of Twitch streaming lately.
I have, yeah. Been getting back into the streaming things, man. It's a lot of fun.
So you know what people should do? They should go find our other streaming stuff. Mine is right below, right here.
Yep. At King Khah, at Jose Ruckus for me. You can give us a follow there. Watch us do streaming stuff. Been playing a lot of Overwatch, Magic the Gathering, all kinds of stuff. What are you doing over there?
I've been doing a lot of Dookie Dash. That's what I've been doing.
Mm.
I'm going to be one of those guys that is going to get a lot of hate because I'm probably going to end up playing that Hogwarts game. But I've been playing a lot of High on Life too, because that game is just funny.
Neat. You can also check us out on socials. Same place on the socials. Make sure to follow me on TikTok. That's where I've been putting out my best work these days. TikTok.com/@JoseRuckus.
I just started my TikTok. I have an idea for one that I think is going to be like really funny and maybe potentially viral, but it's going to take like 2 weeks to film. Actually, I have two ideas. I think the second one, I'm going to have to wait and have you help me do it once I move out to LA.
All right, for sure. Well, yeah, stay tuned. We'll get you some TikTok information on AJ soon. But yeah, we'll be back next week following the Super Bowl and whatever crazy sports news happens next week. Same place, same channel. But until next time, let's keep the ruckus to a minimum.
The superstars of Fan Control Football Season 2.0 are not only the who's who of celebrity team owners and influencers, not the 21 million live views of our Emmy-nominated broadcast. Across Twitch, DAZN, Fubo, NBCLX, Peacock. Or our highlights that scored over 100 million views. And we can't forget best-in-class sponsors. But the biggest star of Season 2 is our play-calling app that allow fans to control the action on the field. Fans pick a team, pick a play, 4 run plays, 4 pass plays to choose from. The play with the most votes is called in real time.
We got it.
This is where video games and live action come to life. And now, Fan Control Sports and Entertainment brings you Fan Controlled Hoops, where fans call the shots. Coming 2023, the future of sports is here, and it's fan control.